Hello everyone. So now let's look into loops in Python. So in this session, we will look into for loops, while loops, and nested for loops. So first, for loop is used to iterate over a sequence of items. Whenever you want to iterate in a list, tuple, or string, we use for loops, right? So in for loops, the syntax is quite easy. So it just says for item in sequence. It's very simple. So let's look this in our demo. So let me take a list where I'll take a list of shoes, okay, shoe brands. So let me take three brands and okay. So now I have a list uh, which has three strings, which are nothing but shoe brands, Nike, Adidas, Reebok, okay. So if I want to iterate in this list, so I can say for shoe in shoes, because shoes is the list in which we want to iterate in, and shoe is nothing but our iterator. So I can name it anything like I also, J, anything. So I have used shoe here. Now, once I've done that, I'll just print it out, okay, to see if I'm able to iterate or not. So let's print it out. Now, as you can see that I'm able to print each one of them, isn't it? It means that my iterator is iterating in each one of them, each one of the items of the list, right? So this is what, in short, I can tell you a for loop is. So for loop we have already seen in our previous examples, previous sessions where I was showing some other concept and I used for. So I just thought that I will create a session in for loop also. Okay. So now let's moving on to nested for loops. So nested for loops are used whenever we want to iterate inside a for loop. Okay. So now let's for iterating inside a nested for loop. Let me take an example for I in range. Let's say 5. Okay. Excuse me. So I have a for loop where I have for I in range 5. It means so my iterator will iterate from 0 to 4. I have a scenario, but in the meantime, I also want to iterate inside it. So if you want to iterate inside a for loop, just give a different name of the iterator. I've taken I, then I'll take J here. Okay. In suppose I want to iterate twice for each item of the previous for loop. So now I can print I comma j so that I know that what I am iterating. Okay. Now you can see for I in range 5, it means it will iterate from 0 to 4, right? Because the last one is never considered in range. Now, after that, in each of the element of the first loop, I am iterating twice, isn't it? 0 and 1. You can see. For 0, I iterate 0 and 1. For 1, I iterate 0 and 1. So in this way, uh, this range was 5 and this is 2. So now in the print, you can see I have total of 10, 10 elements, right? 5 into 2. So that's why it is called nested for loop, isn't it? So for loop is nested inside another for loop. You can have multiple nested for loop. But one of the disadvantages of having nested for loop is that the time complexity and the actually we have not discussed about time complexity yet. We will do it in details in our data structure course. But just understand that nested for loops are not preferred, because it increases the time complexity. The big O notation, for loop is n, actually O of n. But for nested for loop, it just multiplies, it becomes, doesn't multiply, it becomes a square. Okay. So O of n becomes O of n square. So for one single for loop, it was O of n. Now for nested, it becomes O n square. So it is not preferred actually. So this is what I wanted to tell you regarding, nested for loops. Now moving on, we have while loops in Python as well. So while loops are used, when we want to repeat as long as a condition is met, as long as the condition is true. So for this, let me take an example. Let me take a number. Suppose the number is 5, and I'll say while number is greater than 0, while number is greater than 0, I just want to print the number. Okay, I just want to print the number until it is greater than. But in the same time, I need to decrease it by 1. It means this is this is just, okay, I have used this notation. Okay, I'll just say num is equal to num minus 1. This is an easy way of notation, right? So the same thing is, whatever I wrote here, so it is another way of writing. So minus equals 1. It means num is equal to num minus 1. So num is 5, while num is greater than 0. I want to print it, and I also want to decrement it by 1 every time in the loop. Okay. If I don't give this, the loop will run in the, it will be infinite loop, because num is always greater than 0, isn't it? It is 5. So now let's run this and see 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it started from 5. It first printed 5, then it decremented, it becomes 4, then it is greater than 0. Yes, it comes here until it is 1. It will go and print it. So this is a small demo that I wanted to show for while loop. So while loops are also helpful whenever we know when we know the end condition, and then the while loop is very helpful. So this was a short session which I wanted to take for the loops in Python. I hope it has been helpful for you. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.